शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
स्थापितं येन भूतले
स्वयं रूप कदा मायं ददाति
स्वपदान्तिकं
वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून्
श्रीयुतावतारं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं
सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं
साद्वैतं सावधूतं
हरिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितान्
हे
कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश
गोपिका कान्ता
राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त
काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते
देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा
सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
जय
श्री कृष्ण
चैतन्य
प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर
श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin, for the wonderful Mangala Charan recital. Hare Krishna, everybody. Today we have with us Rukma das Prabhuji, all the way from Nairobi. Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances from everybody on this group. Prabhuji, we are reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we are on chapter 13. Chapter 13 is called The Nature, the Enjoyer, and the Consciousness. And the text for today, Prabhuji, is text 27. Prabhuji, I hand over to you.
Okay, I'll read the Sanskrit. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara jangamam khetra khetragna samyogat tadvidi bharata rishabha. Translation. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Mataji, you can read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Both material nature and living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills, which are not moving, but there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between material nature and superior nature is externally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord, is effected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller of both the superior and inferior nature. The material nature is created by him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature, and thus all these activities and manifestations take place. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you. So in this verse, I'll read the verse again. O chief of the Bharata, which means, O Arjun, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Now this chapter is called Nature, Enjoyer, and Consciousness. So nature in Sanskrit is called Prakriti. Enjoyer is called Kshetragna. And we read earlier that there are two Kshetragnas, soul and the super soul. And consciousness means Chetan. So this chapter is rather a very technical chapter. I mean, so many things are given in detail. So we'll go to what Sri Prabhupada explains here, that whatever you see in existence, whether moving or non-moving, is a combination of Prakriti, Kshetra and Kshetragna. That means the external body and the soul. The whole purport or the whole verse explains two things, Kshetra, Kshetragna, Sanskrit. And if you go to the translation, it says body and the knower of the body. Whatever you see in existence. Now, if you look around, you'll find that Prakriti and Jiva, it was already explained earlier. If you remember, I think even in the last Friday's class, there was a point Sri Prabhupada made that living entities are beginningless. Nobody knows Anadikal. Anadikal means we do not know how long we have existed here. But due to our karma, this impurity, and due to this impurity or the karma of the previous lives, we keep pushing on, and we take birth again and again in different species of lives. And the whole creation is a combination of two verses, two energies of Krishna, inferior and superior. Now, if you go to the 7th chapter, Krishna explains two natures. He says, Bhumi apo nalo vayu kam mano buddhir evacha. Biname ashtada. Ashtada means 8. These are my 8 energies. 5 are gross elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are gross elements. And then there are 3 subtle elements, which you all have. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. Now this is the inferior energy of Krishna. It's called Apara Shakti. For those who are taking notes, they can write Apara, A-P-A-R-A, Apara Shakti. And the superior energy is the Jiva. So if you want to take a glimpse at those verses, if you have Bhagavad Gita in your hand, you can go verse number 4 and 5. If you go to verse number 4, I'll read the verse for you. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So this material energies is called Apara Shakti. Apara means inferior energy. And if you go to the next verse, it says, Aprayam itastu anyam prakatim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayadam dajate jagat. Besides this material energy, there is my superior energy, Krishna says. O mighty Arjun, there's another superior energy of mine which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So there are many, many energies of Krishna, but they can be categorized into 2 main energies, the inferior and the superior, or the material energy and the superior energy. Or if you want to know the Sanskrit, it is Adhyatmic Shakti and Bhautik Shakti. Bhautik means material nature. Adhyatmic means superior energy. Now, if you go still one verse behind, if you go to the verse number 2 of the 7th chapter, it says, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. If you know, if you have knowledge of these two energies, material energy and the superior energy, everything is included inside. And that is the verse, that is the subject matter for today. So if you see the third line of this verse of today, it says, Khetra Khetragana Samjogyat. By the union between these two. Now, no creation can take place without the combination of these two energies. For example, Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example that if you see a goat generally on the neck has nipples, but they don't produce any milk. In the same way, the Prakriti or the material nature cannot create anything without the glimpse of Krishna. As soon as Krishna glances into the material nature, then the material nature starts creating. So Krishna is called Purusha, and the material nature is called Prakriti, or the female, or Krishna is called the male, and the Prakriti, or the material nature, is called the female. So by the combination of these two, you find the whole creation taking place. And you'll find that, like even in the human body, if a woman wants to become pregnant, she cannot become pregnant on her own. She needs a male counterpart. And when there is a seed from the male and the seed from the female, when this combine, then creation or a baby can be implanted. And for certain months, she remains dormant. And as far as human life is concerned, on the 7th month, the consciousness comes in. Very nicely explained in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Kapila Muni explains all these things in detail. It's worth reading, because even today, the medical doctors, they are shocked to see this information, which was written down 5,000 years ago. They don't believe, they were not believing, but now they are believing. Seeing every day to day, what is happening within the womb of the mother, right from the time of conception till the baby is born. And even after the baby is born, what happens throughout the whole life is all explained very nicely by Kapila Muni. So, going back to the creation, you see two kinds of living entities, moving and non-moving. Sthavar, Jangam. Jangam means moving, like us. We human beings, then animals, birds, insects, fish, all these move. These are called Jangam. And Sthavar means stopped or non-moving. Those are the trees, plants. Srila Prabhupada also adds mountains, hills, they don't move. There are some mountains which I heard, they do move. But if you remember in the 10th chapter, there was a verse which says, among the chain of mountains, I am the Himalayas, which don't move. Mountains like Himalayas don't move. So this knowledge, we should keep this in the mind, that two kinds of living entities is also called Chara and Achara. Chara means moving, Achara means not moving. Two kinds of living entities is produced by Mother Nature. That's why, again, in English also, they call it Mother Nature. You never hear Father Nature. It's always Mother Nature. So she's the one responsible creating two kinds of living entities. So two energies of Krishna combine for anything to be created. For anything to create, it needs two energies. Without these two energies, nothing can be created. Now, in the modern science, they do agree that there is life, but they do not give you any explanation where the life is coming from. This explanation or this knowledge can only be had if we read Vedic scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita gives you the origin of life. So, like if we remember our school days, we do remember that they teach you how something is created, how something is created from an egg or from sweat or in the womb. And they can even give you all the explanations how the life is taking place. So I do remember in our biology class that we were told, okay, come with the beans, some bean or some seed, and we'll do some experiments in our laboratory. And we were all given small glasses. So we had to put mud inside and put the seed inside, put water inside and wait. And you see it's growing. Yes, I do remember the class very well, that you take a bean, it sprouts, and the first thing that comes out is the root to suck the water. And then the leaves come out. But nobody in the biology, they cannot teach you where did the life go into the bean, where the life goes into a potato or in a carrot. These are all living entities. Sometimes people argue that you people blame us that we are meat eaters, that we kill someone. And you vegetarians are meat eaters, are also killers. We agree, it is true, because even vegetarians or vegetable has life. Srila Prabhupada gives a counter argument. We are neither meat eaters, we are not vegetarians, we are prasaditarians. We eat prasad. That's why when you want to become a devotee, then we eat only prasad, which makes us strong in devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada calls it that it's able to immunize us. So going to main point of this verse is that Kshetra and Kshetrapada, combination of these two, when they combine, then the living entity is created. Be it a small germ, be it a fish, a worm, a tree, a plant, a bird, animal, or even a human being. All this is whatever you see in this world, in this material world, or anything created is all done by the combination of these two energies, the superior and the inferior natures. So you should never forget this. And if you keep a very good eye, and if you look around, you can actually see these things going on daily. It happens and happens. And those who are a bit too much into science subjects, you find that even when you study science, it says the life can be anywhere or everywhere. In the second chapter, there's a word used, is sarvagata. Sarvagata means the Atma or the living entity can survive anywhere or in any place. They are living entities. In the air, in the fire, in the water, even on the sun, and even in vacuum. Some people argue that in vacuum there cannot be any living entities. But even in vacuum there is a living entity. It was proved by a scientist called Louis Pasteur that even when you seal the test tube, removing all the air, still the germs were there. So that's why those who are in the medical profession, they have to wash their hands again and again, if I'm not wrong. Kritika Mataji, you are a doctor, yeah? You are a doctor? Are you a doctor, Mataji? Kritika Mataji? No?
Hare
No, there's
Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, I was muted. Prabhuji, I'm a scientist. So
okay.
I know about the germs, and I'm a microbiologist. So I would.
Yes, if you're a microbiologist, you must be having more knowledge than us. How in everything there can be germs. Even a small point like this, a point small like this I'm holding in my hand, on the top, millions of germs can be there. That's why in the medical profession, you have to be very, very clean. And you have to sterilize yourself again and again to keep yourself so that you do not take one infection from one place and take it to another. But this knowledge has been there millions of years ago, thousands of years. Brahminical culture begins by keeping yourself clean. And you can say keeping yourself sterilized. That's a Brahminical culture. The first quality of Brahmin is that he's clean, suchi. What is the difference big difference between a Brahmin and a Chandala is that Brahmin is always clean, whereas a Chandal is never clean. A Brahmin, when he wears a cloth, and maybe in a day, he may take bath twice in a day or even 3 times in a day. He washes those clothes. He doesn't wear it again. It's considered unclean. Even us, Sri Prabhupada says, when we are cooking, then as we enter the kitchen for Krishna, you should take a bath, wear clean clothes. And once your cooking is done, and if you take prasad with those clothes, then again, those clothes are considered unclean. That's why so much cleanliness is stressed. There's a nice pastime in Prabhupada's lives. In the beginning of this movement, I can't recall the name of the lady. I think it was Malti, if I'm not wrong, or one of the ladies anyway. Mataji was there. And she asked Prabhupada that, can I help you in cooking? Sri Prabhupada said, certainly, but you should be very clean. And while she was cooking, she felt very thirsty. So she drank some water. Prabhupada says, now you have to wash your hands. Go out clean and come back. Even just drinking a sip of water, you are considered unclean. Now, when you tell people that you are not clean, they say you are discriminating, but that's not discrimination. That is a standard of cleanliness. Or the whole basis of this argument is that we have to be clean all the time. And we are infecting so much infection. We are catching up so much infection daily. So we have to clean ourselves. That's why Sri Prabhupada says every devotee must take bath twice in a day. And a sannyasi, minimum 3 times in a day. And a pujari may take bath even 4 times in a day. Because as soon as he enters the altar or the kitchen, he has to take a bath. So this cleanliness means there is living entity everywhere and in everything. It can be germs, it can be other living entity, 8.4 million species. All these species is a combination of Ketra, Ketraguna. Means 2 energies, Prakriti, material nature, and the living entity. The spirit, in short, matter and spirit. If you combine together, then a product comes out. Without a combination, there is no product. Or if there is a product only from matter, it can't move, it can't breathe, it cannot live. For example, I remember in my younger days, I was very fond of toy cars. Each time I would go out, I must get one car, a small matchbox car. Very famous, very metal cars. And I remember I had at least 200 to 300 of those cars. And I was very, very fond of. And I would move it like that here and there. And I would love the car. And then I would imagine I'm sitting in the car and I'm driving the car. But now when I'm adult, I realize that actually that is just a matter. There is no spirit inside. So much realization comes when you read Bhagavad Gita. Without the life coming inside the matter, matter cannot become activated. It remains dead. That's why you should read the book. It has many morning walk conversation between Prabhupada and his disciples. The book is called Life Comes from Life. Very nice book, in which so much discussion is there, so much discussion. And Prabhupada gives so many examples how a living entity is created, where the life is coming from, and how life comes on anything or everywhere. That's why if you find that if you leave your home unclean, then you're allowing germs to come inside. That's why we clean our room daily and clean our places daily. Once I remember that some years ago, I had gone to a doctor and my fingers had some I think you call it fungus. And the doctor said, even if you are clean, why the fungus comes in? He says, maybe you go to somebody's house and you sit on a mattress or maybe on a pillow or something, there's infection there. And then one of the places where the infection comes in is the feet. Generally, the feet picks it up very, very quickly. That's why we should, when we go to sleep, it's advisable we wash our feet. Even before eating, it's good to wash our hands and feet. That also gives me another remembrance of a doctor. He's a Rajasthani doctor, and he's a very good heart doctor here in Episha Hospital, a very close friend of mine. So once we were just discussing, and he was telling me that, see, these days people don't keep themselves clean. So he gave his example that while he was in India, and he remembered his younger days, in India, in our villages, the mother will cook and feed the children hot chapatis, hot sabji, and all the children would sit. Now, before they come and sit, she makes sure everyone has hands and legs clean, because the children, they like to play and they are all covered with dust. So he remembers that the mother will, if we sit down without washing our hands or legs, she has a rolling pin in the hand. She'll hit straight on the hands. Go and wash yourself. So he was saying an experience. And then he was comparing that now the only clean place in the whole world is the ICU unit. ICU unit, when you want to go in, or HDU, I don't know what they call in the hospital these days. When you enter, you have to be sterilized, clean. I remember in the big hospital here, they will even provide you with shoes. You wear those shoes, you remove your shoes, and then you can go to the patient, see the patient inside. So much cleanliness. Why? Because without knowing this Prakriti and Jiva, we cannot know where they are living entities. They can be in so many places, like in a nail, our foot nails. If you see the toe, under the nail, there can be so many germs inside. So if you do not wash, you find so many germs inside. Where do they come from? Also, Shri Prabhupada explains that you may not be knowing that when you die, there are also living entities. What do they call? Parasites, if I'm not wrong. Parasites, they live within you. There are so many germs even in your body, in all of us. And when we die, they all fall out. That's why the body smells very bad, because they all die. That's why the body starts fermenting. Why the fermentation is taking place? Because they cannot get any dependence. They fall out. So these are many examples, Shri Prabhupada said. That's why we should keep ourselves very clean. The more clean you keep, then that is the Brahminical culture. Keep yourself, your body should be clean, your nails should be clean. That's why he made sure that, even I remember when I started going to the altar many years ago, I was told you should have very short nails, minimum short nails, no long hair. And even the ladies, they cover their heads. Why? They fall out. I don't know how many of you come to our Nairobi temple. In the morning, we do Tulsi Puja, and there's a table on which Tulsi is kept. And under those, there are those caster wheels. You just push the counter. And last week, it became jammed. It was not moving. So I decided, let me see what is the problem. So I turned the table upside down, and I opened the caster, and I was shocked that within that tube of the caster, on the bearing itself, or the roller inside, I saw something like a washer. When I pulled out a washer, it was hair inside. Not one. You can feel two fists like this. A whole. I was shocked. Well, it is for so many years. And when I showed this to other people, they were shocked. So much hair like this hair. I said, yes, so much hair fly in the temple. When people walk in, when people walk out, all these things gather. Now imagine this is hair is like dead, but it jammed the whole thing. Once all the hair was removed, new oil was put, the table, you can push it even with one finger. It is moving. So in this, imagine our body. It has so many lives inside. Of course, the main is the soul inside. And all those parasite living entities are also dependent on us. The same way, if you take this simple example, in each corner of this world, there are living entities everywhere, moving, unmoving. So in Krishna consciousness, when one becomes a pure devotee, he does not see the living or a non-living. He sees Krishna or the Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. So Krishna consciousness teaches you to respect all the jivas, the living, the moving and the non-moving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Thavar deke, Jangan deke. He does not see Thavar or Jangan. He sees Krishna in the heart of everyone. We can just go back to, I think it's 5:17. Mother, you can read 5:17. Sorry, 5:18.
Prabhuji, the translation
Yes.
of 518?
5:18, yeah.
518 translation. The humble sages, by the virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast.
So when one gets this knowledge of Ketra, which is the verse of today, one will have a vision of seeing Paramatma, Atma, Paramatma in every living entity. That's why if you see the Sanskrit, it says Vidya Vinaya Sampane. Vidya means he has attained the knowledge. Brahmani, Gavi Hashtini, Suni Cheva Sabakecha, Pandita Samadashina. When one becomes a Pandit, he can see living entities everywhere. And within every living entities, he also has a deeper vision that he can see. Most of our Bhagavad Gitas have this picture. If you see this picture here. Now, if you see this picture, you see Lord Vishnu is here, but Vishnu is also present in all those living entities. So this is called a perfect vision. Perfect vision can only be attained if you have this knowledge of the 13th chapter. If you do not know 13th chapter properly, how will you have that knowledge of seeing living entity everywhere? And within the living entities, you see Jiva and the body, which is given by the Prakriti. So this, it needs a very broad vision. So unless one is not learned like that, one cannot get this broad vision. So in other words, whatever you see is a combination of matter and spirit. Wherever you see, wherever you turn around and you see living entities everywhere. So when one becomes a devotee, he will have that vision, and wherever he glances, he will be able to see that the living entities are everywhere. And what do you call? In the verse of today, it says, whether moving or non-moving, all the living entities, the combination is of Kshetra and Prakriti. I mean, Kshetraguna and Prakriti. In other words, this body is holding the Kshetraguna, or one who has the knowledge of this body. If you remember earlier, if I'm not wrong, I gave you the example of a farmer and a king. A farmer knows his farm very well, if he's a good farmer. But the king knows all the farms. So that is, king can be compared to the super soul. The farmer can be compared to the soul. And the farm can be compared to be a product of Prakriti, which is true. That Prakriti is like a mother, and the Purusha is Krishna. When there's a combination of both, then the creation takes place, and everything comes into existence. Nothing can exist without the combination of matter and spirit. Otherwise, everything remains dead. You can take one mundane example. Take a skyscraper. If you see a skyscraper, in Nairobi, we have many skyscrapers. Now, imagine you may see the building itself, but go back into the how the building came into existence. There must be a living entity who made it. And then he put on the foundation, first floor, second floor, like that. He built the frame, and then later when he painted, he added electricity, and then the living entities will go and live inside. Skyscraper is a very good example. In this way, many examples can be given that nothing can exist without the combination of matter and spirit. That's why Krishna tells Arjuna that if you have knowledge of matter and spirit, you do not need to know more than that. Because once you know matter and spirit, you know everything. Without matter and spirit, nothing. And Prabhupada says, today's education speaks a lot about matter, but hardly anything is spoken about spirit. Hardly anything. Like when you go to school, though all the subjects are there, physics, chemistry, biology, even human biology, everything is there. But it does not speak of spirit. Because most people think when you talk of spirit, it means you're talking of religion. No, you're not talking of religion. You're talking of truth. What is the truth behind everything? For example, any parents, if they want to conceive a child, there has to be a conception. And then a child can be created. Now then the child cannot claim that I am only the child of my father. No, he's a child of both the father and the mother. The father is representative of Purusha, and the mother is representative of Prakriti. So even if you take example of parents, it's a good way to understand everything. That's why the scriptures says, try to know where you came from. Who is origin of everything? And if you really go to the origin of everything, then origin of everything is Krishna. From Krishna comes everything. For example, if people are told, Janmashtami is coming very, very close. We are going to celebrate Krishna's appearance day. And how, as you go into the Bhagavatam or into Brahma Samhita, how Krishna, before Krishna, Balaram comes. And Balaram is a direct expansion of Krishna. And then from Balaram comes many, many other expansions. And from those expansions come Brahma. And from Brahma we come. And we come as man. Man means we are all children of Manu. Manu means is the father, he's a son of Lord Brahma. We are his products, or generations and generations are coming in. So if you go trace back into all this, you find the origin is Krishna. So if you remember in the 10th chapter, Krishna gave a genealogy. Genealogy means from me, the 4 Kumaras came, the 7 Saptarishis came, or the 7 sages came, the 14 Manus came. From these 25, who are the original 25 progenitors, the whole population is filled up. So origin of everything is Krishna. They were all born from my mind. I can read that verse for you. It's a 10:6. If you have Gita in your hand, very interesting because many people don't read this. I've seen that even in Hindu community, they skip this verse. Because if they know this verse, they'll come to know Krishna is everything. So if you read the 6th verse of the 10th chapter, it says, Mahashayo sapta purve chatvaro manavashtata madbhava manasha jata yesham loka ima praja. The 7 great sages, and before them, the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, come from me, born from my mind, and all the living beings populating the various planets descend from them. In the purport, 2 very important words are there. Krishna is called Prapitamaha and Brahma is called Pitamaha. That means Brahma is called grandfather and Krishna is called great-great-grandfather. Because if you know this truth, then you will definitely worship Krishna. You will know that beyond Krishna, there is nothing. Everything is coming from Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I'll end my class here. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Hare.
much. Prabhuji, I have a question before I ask anybody else. Prabhuji, so in the 518 that we saw, that the dog eater and the dog and everybody has Paramatma in them. Prabhuji,
Atma
what about
and Paramatma.
Atma and Paramatma? And what about over here it's described that the trees are the non-moving. So the trees will not have Atma and Paramatma, yet they are growing. They have.
Tree have Atma and Paramatma.
Okay. Because they are
That's
growing.
why, yeah. If you see the picture, you'll see picture of Vishnu even in the tree.
Okay.
You see the picture which I showed you.
In my Gita, Prabhuji, it's not there. That's why I asked.
No, it is there.
Mine is a very old one. So probably that's why it only has...
No, even in the old Bhagavad Gita, it is there. Even a tree has Paramatma inside. Yeah, it is there. In my picture, I can see very clearly it is there.
Okay, mine it's not.
Yeah, in fact, you should listen to one lecture Prabhupada gives. He said in Bengal, even in Prabhupada's times, before Prabhupada's times, there was a very powerful scientist in British times, sorry, in Bengal, Subhash Chandra Bose, not Subhash, no, Jagdish Chandra Bose. He's a very famous scientist of India because he's the one who had invented the radio. But because of the rule, British rule, he shared this with another person. So his name was put. And if you know, it's called Marconi. Radio set is called Marconi. That scientist was given the title. Oh, he's the one. But actually, the whole research was done by this Jagdish Chandra Bose. And this Jagdish Chandra Bose also created a machine in which when you cut the tree, it has feelings inside. There's pain in the trees, which showed on the meter. So Prabhupada says that when you cut a tree, you're actually destroying a life. When you cut a plant, you're destroying a life. That's why when you pluck the tulsi, we always cut from the top, not anywhere. So that where we grow, when we cut on the top, it will grow maybe in 1 or 2 days. So you don't just cut tulsi anywhere. In a similar way, we should not try to destroy trees unnecessarily. In the Mahabharata, when the Pandavas had to go to the forest, after losing the match and after gaining Draupadi again, Sadev and Nakul were very angry. All the Pandavas were very angry, other than Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was also angry, but he concealed the anger. And when they were told to bring the tree, they would cut so many trees. And Yudhishthira Maharaj says, you have no right to cut all these trees. You cut the trees only what you need, not more. And better than that, only bring trees whose branches have fallen on the ground, pick them up, but don't cut the trees.
Hare Krishna.
Okay,
yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in that, so the table, which is made out of wood, that is Kshetra, that is a field of activity, that is non-living, isn't it? Because now
it is not, because it has been cut. Yeah, it has been cut from the tree. Yeah.
But it is still material energy of Krishna.
It is a part of Krishna, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Raj Kishori Mataji has a question. Mataji, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, from this 13th chapter, we understand that a kshetra is a body, and kshetragna is two kshetragnas. One is Jeev and one is Paramatma. So Atma and Paramatma both are in the kshetra.
Yes.
What happens if the Jeev gets out of the kshetra? Like, you know, there is if somebody has an operation, the people have the Jeev is on the top. They can see something is happening to my body. And then afterwards they come back into. So the Jeev has got out of the kshetra and then it comes back again.
It is true. For example, in the heart transplant, it's not that when you remove the organ, the person is going to die. No. If the heart is kept pumping or another heart is put inside, as far as the life bodily errors are there, the person will still survive. And there are cases in which a person can actually see externally the everything, and then he also returns in the body. Now, even at that time, the super soul is still accompanying the soul. So when you say, even when it is out of the body, the super soul is always, I think that is the subject matter of the next verse, if I'm not wrong, 13. Today we did 27, is it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
26.
Today's
Yeah, so
27.
Yeah, so if you go to 28, you get your answer. And it says the super soul accompanies the jiva, always. Yeah,
Does
one
that
who sees 28. Let me read the verse for you, and then you can ask. One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and one who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Yeah, Mother, you can ask your question.
So when the jeev gets out of, the soul gets out of the body in certain circumstances, does the super soul remain within the body? Or
No,
does
no,
it come out?
it accompanies the soul. It accompanies the soul.
So both come out of the body at the
Yes,
same
both
time.
together. They are always together in the material world. When you read third canto of Kapila Muni's teachings, you can get the answer. If you read the fourth canto, the story of Puranjan explains very nicely how the soul and super soul are always together. Super soul being the witness is always witnessing the soul.
Even when the soul gets out of the body, it goes with it.
Yes, with it,
And
yes.
then it comes back
Till
into
it
the
reaches
body.
Vaikuntha. When it reaches Vaikuntha, then super soul does not have to accompany. Then it has attained the original Sarupa, or the constitutional position, to be the servitor of Krishna. So when it goes to Vaikuntha, super soul doesn't accompany. Then the super soul leaves him, because super soul is an expansion of Krishna.
I see. Otherwise, it's always with the soul all the time.
Always with us. Even when you sleep, it is there. When you sleep, when you are awake, when you're walking, even when you're dying, when the Yamdutas come with you, the soul will also, the super soul will also accompany the soul. Even when you go to Yamaraj, and if you try to speak lies, the super soul is there with you. It'll tell you, hey, don't speak lies.
I see.
It's always there. Sakshi.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, in that case, when the soul is punished, like we hear that you will be punished in your afterlife for whatever bad things you have done. Will the super soul experience that, or it will just be the drishta? It will just
No, it will only be drishta, anumanta, drishta, both. He's a superseer and he's a witness. And he even knows what you're going to do. He even knows. And he tries to withdraw you back from committing a sin. But at times you are so adamant that we want to sin. Super soul can't do anything. He says, okay. That's why you'll find that when you do something wrong, maybe even accidentally or even incidentally, there's some feeling inside which gives you a kind of a guilty feeling that I'm not doing right. Do you have this guilty feeling? That comes from the super soul. That's why it says that anyone who reads Bhagavad Gita, then even once, the whole Bhagavad Gita, or even a couple of verses of Bhagavad Gita, he may even prepare himself for sin, but at the 11th hour, he will come back. He said, no, this is not right. Because I have heard somewhere in Bhagavad Gita that you should not do this. This Bhagavad Gita remains even as your protector. And Bhagavad Gita means, is Paramatma, Krishna speaking. He will protect you. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Sandhya Mataji, did you have a question? Your hand was up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and Hare Krishna, everybody. Prabhuji, I was just going to ask a similar question like Mataji before. So when someone, say, has a heart attack and, they are declared, or before they're declared that they are not breathing and the heart is stopped, and then they get, they give them the defibrillator and they bring them back. Could you please explain what happens in that? What is happening there?
Yeah, at that time, the person is not dead, actually. life is there. So they try to revive him by pumping. And you may have become unconscious because of some wrong combination in your body. For example, I remember in our school days, sometimes even in an assembly, some child may fall down where there's a lot of sun. That does not mean someone gets fainted. Does not mean he's died. After some time, he's revived. The similar situation is when one gets a heart attack. If they pump his heart, I mean, they pump their lungs, and the heart is made to activate, there is every chance at that time, the soul and supersoul are always together. But one thing you should never forget, that all of us are governed by the time factor. If your time is over, even if they try to revive you, you're not going to survive. If your time is still there, you'll survive. There are some cases in which a living entities even goes up to samshan. Samshan means crematorium. Very few cases. And by the time they reach crematorium, they wake up. We say, hey, where are you taking me? You may have heard some cases like that. There's one nice example given by one of our devotees in Gujarat. There's a town called Amreli. I don't know. I've not been there. And there lived a devotee of Krishna. And this devotee is very famous for his kirtan. And all the time, he was always chanting Krishna's name. So before his death, he had told his people that day after tomorrow, I'm going to die. And means I'm going to give up my body. And please don't cry. Nobody should cry. Instead, just do kirtan and let me go happily. And it did happen like that. After 2 days, he died. So in India, you know, when someone dies, you put him on the, what do they call? It's just like a stretcher. Yeah, but you don't carry it like that. It's generally carried on the shoulder. So he was carried on the shoulder. And as they were going to the crematorium, it reached a place where there were crossroads. You know, crossroads. So by the time they reached a crossroad, from the opposite side, there was a marriage party coming there. And in those days, this is about maybe 100 years old story. It is true fact. And if you go to Umbrella, everybody knows this. So this girl was being carried in the palanquin. You know what is a palanquin? What do they call? Dolly, is it? Dolly.
Yes, Prabhuji, dolly, yes.
Okay, dolly, okay. So she was carried in the dolly. And she could hear people saying, Ram Bolo Bhai Ram. You know, when people carry the dead body, they say, Ram Bolo Bhai Ram. So she asked that, is someone died today? They said, yes, that devotee. If I'm not wrong, he was called Dhira Bhagat. Dhira Bhagat. His name may be Dhirubai. But he, in short, in India, they will call it Dhira Bhagat. She said, yes, Dhira Bhagat has died. So she started crying because she knew him, that he was a great devotee. And she was praying to Krishna that why he had to die on my day of marriage. So what happened is, somehow the Krishna gives this message to Dhira Bhagat, who was already dead. So while they were carrying him, he woke up. He says, put me down. And then he told them that I cannot die today. My daughter, that girl is as good as my daughter. If she's crying for me, I can't die today. So let's go back. But I'll die after 2 weeks. She went back and he performed his bhajan nicely, kirtan, and exactly after two weeks he died. So this is a true incident. Is it okay, Mataji? Who was asking? Sandhya?
Yes,
Someone?
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
It's worth remembering. A devotee is very conscious. A devotee does not like to see pain in anyone. Just to save her marriage day, then she felt this inauspicious that I'm coming from this side and a dead body is coming from this side. Just she felt so bad that it got revived again. And he peacefully passed.
Prabhuji, may I just ask a question which has been on my mind for a very long time, and today you mentioned something like that, so I've just remembered it. When we die, why do we say Ram Naam Satya Hai?
Because we are not Satya, but Ram Naam is Satya. Our name is not Satya. Our name is temporary, is related to this body. Once you are dead, Who knows us? But Ram Nam remains eternal. Now, when you say Ram Nam, it means the name of the Supreme. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has got three main names: Hari, Krishna, Rama. That's how you know Mahamantra, these three names are there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hari, of course, we mean, it means Radha. But Prabhupada says it also means Hari.
Yes.
So Hari, Krishna, and Rama. So when you say Ram Nam Satya Hai, means the truth is Ram Nam, not this body. This body is going to dwindle and die. Satvikar, Satvikar means the body takes birth, becomes a baby, becomes a child, a youth, an adult, produces byproducts, dwindles and dies. Satvikar means 6 changes in the body. But Ram Nam has no 6 changes. Ram Nam is eternal because it is all spiritual. Now, for your information, you find that many people who come from South India, they like to read Vishnu Sahasranam. You know Vishnu Sahasranam? There's 1,000 names of Vishnu inside. Now, instead of saying all those 1,000 names, if you say Rama, all 1,000 names are already included in the name of Rama. And if you say Na Ram Ram 3 times, it is equivalent to word Krishna. So keep this information with you. How powerful the Mahamantra is.
Yes, Prabhuji. Is Lord Ram the Ram or Lord Balram the Ram, Prabhuji?
It has 3 Rams inside. One is Ram, the Sitapati Ram. The second Ram is Balram. And the third is Parshuram. All 3 are there in the name Ram.
Wow. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
This is the way Prabhupada explains. One day there was an argument between 2 sannyasis. One sannyasi said, when you're saying Hare Rama, it means Balram. And the other one said, no, when you say Hare Rama, it means Sitapati Ram. So both came to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada says, both of you are right. But I'll give you some additional information that it also means Parshuram. And for your knowledge, Hare Ram in our Mahamantra means Raman. Raman means also Krishna. Rama also means Krishna. Radha, Raman. If you make the Raman short, it becomes Rama. That's why generally we don't say Ram, we say Rama. Why? Because it's Raman. So the original Mahamantra, if you break it, it is Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Radhe Raman, Radhe Raman, Raman Raman, Radhe Radhe. From there to for the Kali Yuga, we speak it as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It means throughout the mantra, the whole meditation is focused towards Radha and Krishna. Is it clear, Mataji? Is it okay?
Prabhuji, so nice, Prabhuji. I've never been explained this before, even though we've been asked to chant, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for me.
Yeah, but if you hear Prabhupada, you'll get all this message. As devotees, we should hear Prabhupada at least once in a day, daily. You'll never go wrong in your life. You'll always move forward. Because day to day, we are put down, or maybe our mood is not good. We feel lazy, or you don't feel like chanting. If you hear Prabhupada daily, it's a daily nectar. It enters your ears, and it makes you awaken. So I would advise, please hear Prabhupada daily. And Prabhupada, you can hear daily on the YouTube. Very easy. Just put the Prabhupada lecture. You put on your YouTube. Select your lecture you want to. 30 minutes, you can get so much.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Are there any more questions? If there are no more questions, I hand over to Parth Prabhuji. Prabhuji, done with Pranam. Please kindly close the session.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class. You very nicely describe about the Kshetra Kshetrajna and how every places, like you are telling the word Sarvagata, it means this living entity everywhere. Even you giving the example of also fire in sun, also in a vacuum, and also ice everywhere. It's very nice. Also, you give the importance of the cleanliness, how proper giving the cleanliness. Also, it is very difficult in time in Kali Yuga also, because all are Sudra. they don't giving too much emphasis of cleanliness. But in our Vedic Shastra, we are in a very much cleanliness, so that like now time this sanitizing and everything, there is no requirement for also cleanliness. Also, you are giving the very nice answer of the question of Rama and Lava Parshurama or Balaram. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class. We are so grateful to you. Also, we are also thanks to all the devotees who joined here. I request all the devotees, please unmute and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His grace, Rukma Prabhuji. Please join.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Raj ki jai, and have a nice Janmashtami. Have a Janmashtami. Yeah, this boosts our what do you call, our Krishna consciousness. Actually, Janmashtami is not for devotees. Devotees have Janmashtami daily. Janmashtami is for general mass of people.
Daily.
But for us, if we more we meditate upon Krishna, the better it is. So Janmashtami is a day of joy and celebration. So you prepare yourself. And just like once I remember one of our devotees called Guru Krishna, who says, on a day of a birthday, everybody likes to be very happy. Now, if it is Krishna's birthday, how happy he must be. If we pray to him, he is ready to give us all the blessings. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai, Granth Sahib Srila Gita ki jai.
Vancha karta karirvasya kripa shintu Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.